uncles you got?
5. It feels like 50 most of the time, though.
Let's go, guys. We don't have all day.
My dad left when I was little, so all my uncles are always around, and they're super protective of my mom and me.
What's that feel like?
Mostly, it's like being inside a cloud of bees, except the bees are always cussing and punching at each other.
Okay.
Alrighty, countdown to the Geekcast. We got an awesome guest for the show today. Carlos Santos from Primo.
You can say it. You can say Primo.
Yeah, Primo. No, Primo. I'm Hispanic, so I just, you know what I mean. Got to kind of.
You hesitated. That's fine. We're not gatekeepers here. It's fine.
One of the things is, I love stand-up comedy. This show I love because it's based in San Antonio. The actual guy part of that kind of came up, or it's based off of, is from San Antonio, loves the Spurs. How was it working, with Shea Serrano?
He's great, man. Shea is he obviously it stands to reason that he would take a sports-like approach to show running. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. He was basically like a coach. This is his first experience being a showrunner, but he killed it. And I feel like that actually made it for a better experience. I've already worked enough to deal with like in the industry, when you do a show, like you deal with certain like people in charge. Things are always a little bit different. But with Shea, I think he was such a this is my first time, so I don't know if I'm breaking the rules, but here it is. And he's very supportive, and he's still very supportive. Like but from it's like coach. He's like coach.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool to see that coming from him, because he's the truth.
Yeah, and that's one thing I do like about it too, is that he's actually putting what he wants in the show.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a lot of shows like he loves the Spurs. So there's like one scene where he has the jersey in the background, the posters, everything. And not only that, he even throws in Whataburger in there, for San Antonio. But, as a comedian, you've started off as a comedian, then transitioned into, Netflix, doing your first.
Yeah.
That show was awesome.
Yeah.
How was it working with America Ferrera?
Yeah, you can say Ferrera or Ferrera. It's fine. I'm not gonna gatekeep you.
How was it working with her?
Yeah, she was amazing. She was so good. I think I've said this before, and I've said this before in other interviews, but I feel like she was we were connected so much that I think at one point, this has only happened twice. It's only happened 3 times, one per season with America, and then it happened in Primo again. We were so in the same mind that one time she walked over and she looked at me, and I said the note that she was gonna say, and she said yes, and I did it like that. That happened twice, and then in this season it happened with Melissa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She directed one of the episodes of Primo.
Oh, nice.
And so that was so that's right. So yeah, but working with America Ferrera was really dope. She's great, and she's an actress. She knows how to it's great. It's like you need to have a little bit of that. It's really helpful when actors direct, because they really understand how to talk to actors. It's a whole different, you just got to be careful how you talk to actors. They're like animals. You don't want to push them. You don't want to make them comfortable. And yeah.
So for you because you had done other little parts in, shows and stuff, but that was one of your first where you were actually in it. How was it? Was it really nerve-wracking for you to kind of?
I think that I've been doing this for a long, long time. This was the first time that I had Gentefied was my first series regular. So it wasn't nerve-wracking as much as maybe on the first day, I'm like, oh, this is real. Like the first shot, I was in the kitchen and they had a camera in my face. I'm like, oh, this is real. But thankfully, I got over it really quickly, because it was a great team. And even the process of auditioning was crazy, because Netflix didn't want me. I didn't have enough credits. So I really had to fight for that role. But what ended up happening is I ended up going back probably I think it was 5 times to convince to get the role. But what then ended up happening is I got more and more, I got closer with the production side of things, and I got so comfortable with them that by the end of it, I was like, oh man, I'm workshopping this character. They're on board. We're just waiting for Netflix to make a decision. And that actually ended up it actually made me more comfortable with what I was doing. Instead of like, I gotta go back and prove myself. It wasn't even about that. So, but also because I've been doing this for a long time, and I say this jokingly, but it's kind of true. I'm the right kind of jaded. You have to be kind of like jaded a little bit so that you just come and do the work. You're not like worried about the pressure or the nervousness. I've been,
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool, man. I definitely like that part of the story. So you getting into it and you've also worked with some other high actors. Have you been starstruck by any of them?
Not yet. You know what? I just did which by the way, this is coming out soon. I mean, I don't have an official date yet. Or I think they announced it, but I'm doing the sequel to Vacation Friends. I don't know if you remember this movie with
Yeah,
John Cena
yeah.
and Little Rel and Meredith Hagner and Yvonne Orji. I was in the first 10 minutes of the movie in the first one, and then I got upgraded. So I'm gonna be in the whole thing. But I got to work with Steve Buscemi. And it
Oh,
was,
dude.
and I didn't know until the day of, like, we shot this in Hawaii last year, and then I didn't know who they cast to play the father role of one of the characters. And when I found out, I was like, the day of, he was there. I was like, I'm sorry, who's playing the father, and who am I acting opposite of? But that was it. He was such a, I mean, I don't know, everybody says so many good things about Steve, and it's all true. I mean, he's a true gentleman of a human being. He's a great actor, and there's no ego. It was such a great, like, it passed like that, and pretty soon, we were like acting, hung out, we had dinner. It was like, what is this life? But also like such a sweetheart of a man. But stuff like that, I feel like I don't usually like get starstruck that much.
Nice.
Actually, I'd take that back. You know who I got starstruck one time? You remember? And this is a random. I grew up watching Charles in Charge, and I saw
Scott Baio.
not Scott Baio, Josie Stone. I think Josie. It was the middle sister.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Bro,
Yeah,
I was
I
at
had a
birthday
crush on her.
party, and I had a crush on her, and then all of a sudden I saw her a few years ago, and I was just like, what? And I was like, what is wrong with you? I don't get starstruck, but it was such a weird, like, I wasn't ready for that. She was a sweetheart, and we talked for a little bit, but even that was like stuff like that. I think is more like the things that have like affected me or inspired me in my childhood. I think those are like probably the hard hitting, because it's coming back full circle. Like, I'm out here doing stuff, but yeah, that kind of stuff.
Nice. So we got, of course, David from the Star Wars Stuff podcast.
What's up, David?
What's up, man? So yeah, we were having a conversation before the podcast about where I was on the spectrum of what is happening right now in Star Wars.
Yeah.
My basic answer is I'm a positive guy. I mean, I try and look at all the positive. I think you're referring to like the sequel trilogy and episode 7, 8, 9. Not too big a fan of The Last Jedi, but you can kind of see what they were trying to do. And I always go back to the fact, and we were talking about being starstruck. I can just imagine how much pressure it was for J.J. Abrams, who was a huge Star Wars fan, to helm that first movie coming back in 2015. And I just can't imagine the pressure on him to direct the next Star Wars film. So, I mean, I look at that, and I look at Rian Johnson, too. He had a certain amount of pressure to keep it going because The Force Awakens was the biggest film in box office history in America. And that Last Jedi was so controversial. It basically split the fandom in half, is what we like to say. But where do you stand on the sequel
That
trilogy?
is a very political answer. Wow, very Switzerland of you. No, I actually agree. I'm a very positive. I think we share that. I think we're in the same pocket. I don't like to hate on stuff for the sake of hating. I don't think anything ever ruins anybody's childhood. Like, Ninja Turtles is something that I grew up with, and I've enjoyed every iteration. I was a little upset about the Michael Bay stuff.
Same here.
So, but I still wasn't like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I'm right on target. It didn't do well. People just in general. It's not just like it's not a nostalgia thing. But in terms of Star Wars, I do agree that objectively, and it's not even, I don't like even fighting about it, but objectively, they did not have a plan. And a lot of times the conversation is like, "Where is this a good one? Is this a bad movie?" It's not even that. It's like, regardless of how you feel about the three movies, they did not set themselves up for success
Right.
for whatever reason. And they maybe because they just didn't care. Maybe they were too cocky. Maybe they thought everybody was just going to take it. For whatever reason, I think we can all agree that there was no plan, and I think that's why we're here where we're at right now, unfortunately. But yeah,
Right.
Last Jedi, I was, I'll say this: it's a great movie if it was a standalone movie, if there was no context. But given the circumstances of everything that kind of like happened, I can understand why people were so fired up. And when I watched it, I think I was like, huh. There was something like when I remember watching it when it first came out, and it was fresh off of the who was it, Lord and Miller, that got fired from
Yes, Solo.
Solo, and because it was too funny. And then opening scene is the bit about the phone thing and the thing, and I was like, huh. I was just like, huh. I feel like that doesn't track with if this is why they're getting fired. Then I don't know. It just seemed like so stuff like that just didn't necessarily.
Yeah.
I wasn't upset about it, but I was just, you know, I definitely was bummed out that it didn't have like outside of the story, it didn't really have a strong through line, and they were just kind of like trying to play catch up a little bit. Can we say that without getting? I still love Star Wars, and I don't want to.
Yeah, that was said perfectly. You know your stuff, man.
Work with me. I'm happy to. I love that. I know it's a very objective and loving.
Yeah, we need more Latinos in Star Wars. Diego Luna, Mexico.
Definitely.
And it was so great. And it sucks that it didn't get the love it deserved because people have been just like jumping ship. It's a real shame because Andor is a solid.
Oh yeah, to me, in my opinion too, it's definitely good. I like the story because it gives you so much of a backstory of the Empire, and the same thing like with even Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars Rebels, and a lot of people didn't watch the cartoon series, but that kind of showed you like how the Empire came in and took parts, of the star system and just started taking it over and taking control of the people of where the planets or whatever, and kind of taking whatever that planet had to offer, and then turning them into plants. And I mean, yeah, that's Endor was just kind of the same premise to me. But your geekiness, other than Star Wars, those posters that you got in the background, definitely. So where did your geekiness start?
I think. Well, I'll say this: Ninja Turtles was a very strong. It was a very strong punch to the face to this day. I mean, I have like the '90s Turtles are probably the most. I love when these came out. They look so good. The ones from what was it? I forget now. NECA made these.
Yeah.
The '90s one, and then they recently came out with the second movie one. But those big ones are so good. But anyway, biggest impact was Ninja Turtles. But time-wise, Ghostbusters was something that really, really got me in the feels. Man, those late '80s, early '90s movies, just like one after the other. Batman, Ninja Turtles, Jurassic Park, like the last Back to the. I mean, nobody cares anymore. Newer generations are like, I don't care. But what a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch of just pop culture movies, especially. I mean, it hit me right in the perfect,
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, and Ninja Turtles are basically the reason why I do what I do. A lot of people credit actors or movies or whatever, but for me, like these are my way into doing what I do is because of the imagination and the adventure that these movies like kind of created for me growing up.
Yeah.
Nice. So have you ever met any of the actors from the Turtles movie?
No, I've met Kevin Eastman.
Oh,
nice.
but you have, so
And
you haven't,
in 2015, I went to Comic-Con and I was like, oh, he's just hanging out. And so I got I got him to draw me a Michelangelo and a couple other ones, and then he signed it. So I was like, he's signing my name. It was one of those, like, it was really cool. It's one of those things where like he had it was IDW. They had like his own, or not IDW, but he had his own station within that. You've been to Comic-Con, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know if he still does it, but that was pretty cool. And it's his birthday today or yesterday.
It was yesterday, I think.
Yeah. We just.
So, what was your favorite action figure from the Turtles from the early '90s?
Nice.
I mean, specifically, like which turtle or which action figure?
Which action figure? Because they all had kind of.
Well, I'm Michelangelo was always. I'm the youngest with my family, so in the personality psychological puzzle piece of the puzzle, I was always Michelangelo. And to this day, when I started making money, like working, I just started. I realized I have so many Michelangelos somewhere, like put away. I'm only showing like a fraction of what I have. But when I was like, I started working, I started making money. I was like, ooh. So, and at some point I'll have the space to display it. I don't have it right now, but I'm happy with if I could just display those ones, I'm happy because those are. I mean, until right. I mean, I don't know if anything else will come out that'll top those ones right there. They look so good.
Nice. So
I was gonna say there was one Christmas my parents surprised me and pretty much bought out the entire turtle section of the Christmas catalog for JCPenney's. And I woke up to that, and my dad had trouble with the camcorder. He wanted to record it. He had trouble with it. He couldn't get it going. So I just sat there just like staring at him. And I think I got a couple of I think I got the module. I got the dome. I already forgot what it's called. I haven't thought about turtles in so long.
It's a thrower?
Yeah, with the eyeball at the top.
Oh, the Technodrome?
Yeah, Technodrome. Yeah.
Wow.
And my favorite character was Donatello, and my favorite action figure was Donatello in the trench coat. If you remember that with the hat.
Yeah.
And I still have that figure. I think I kind of messed up and sold most of them in like garage sales and stuff.
No.
But I kept that one figure because I remember that was my favorite, and I was just wondering. And that movie too that came out in the early '90s is so underrated. It's still watchable to me. Yeah,
it still holds up.
Yeah. Totally.
It was shot like an independent film, and it's the right amount of dark, and it sucks because I was 9 and I was like, what is everybody freaking out about? Like the parents then made the second movie with the weapons and the thing, and it's like, I don't think adults like to give kids more credit, like, and this is from experience.
Yeah.
I remember being like, what is the deal? They're not gonna use the weapons?
But yeah, that movie was pretty gritty. Yeah.
So, question on the turtle part of it. So, Michelangelo. So, if you had the opportunity to meet the voice of Michelangelo or April O'Neil, how do you think your reaction would be?
Like the voice or Judith Hogue?
Judith for the movie, and then the voice of Michelangelo for the movie.
Man. Tough one. I think the voice of Michelangelo. I mean, it's such a classic. I actually learned English watching cable TV. I was like, also, it was all happening at the same time. So I remember when I became fluent, I was so excited because I was like, oh, now I'm just gonna talk like a surfer the whole time. I was like, I'm gonna go to Florida. I'm gonna go to Disney World, and I'm just gonna be like a surfer, dude. Yeah, for sure. Indelible experience.
So where did you grow up at?
Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. My mustache is very Mexican, but I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was there until my freshman year of college. But when I was little, I switched schools in 4th grade. And that was like I was there for like 2 years. It was like an all English school. And so to help me out, my parents got me cable. So that was a game changer for me, because that was like my complete like into like the just the pop culture, everything about like I was just. And once I became fluent, I was like just intaking all the information, like movies and TV and all that stuff. So that's why I'm here. I was trapped. So now I'm like The most exciting thing of my situation is that since everything is always coming back now, there's always a little hope that I might be involved. Like, you believe if I'm involved in like a Ghostbusters project or a Jurassic Park is still going. I mean, they're gonna keep doing it. What I'm saying, there's a chance I might be able to be involved in something like that, and that would be a dream come true for sure. I would love to play. I don't know if you remember the Extreme Ghostbusters, but like Eduardo Rivera, he was like in the. That would be so dope. Anyway, don't get me. I'm gonna get all excited.
Hey, dude, like I said, so me, and the reason why I ask you about that, because I've actually had the luxury of interviewing Judith Hogue for the podcast.
Nice.
So check this out. So I worked for a comic book store about 10 years ago, and they were partnered with a convention here in San Antonio called Alamo City Comic Con. So at that time, they were looking for guests for the show. And I reached out to Judith, literally, like the way I reached out to you, I reached out to Judith, and I was like, hey, Judith, have you ever done a convention? Would you be interested in doing a convention here in San Antonio? We're kind of focusing around the turtles. So she actually responds. So this was the first convention she ever did.
Oh, you got her all, what is it? Christened her.
Yes. So she literally, like I said, when I got into the podcasting side of it, she was actually coming back to San Antonio for another show. And I reached out to her and said, hey, since, you came to San Antonio for the first show, this is my first podcast that I'm working with. And, my first interview, she was actually technically my first interview that I did. So, maybe I'm going to try to reach out to her and get you an autograph for you.
Oh, I got an inside track there. Look up.
So if I work my magic, because I tend to, I'm able to pull some stuff off that I normally don't do. So
let the record show.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. Are you a Spurs or basketball fan by chance?
I'm a basketball fan because I grew up in Puerto Rico. I was completely, obviously, because I don't rep any specific. I grew up with Jordan, so it was all Jordan. And also, like, in my cable, for some reason, my cable TV package included a lot of like WGN, which was Chicago.
Right.
So I naturally got Chicago games.
Right.
But obviously, Jordan. I mean, I grew up with Jordan, so I'm just happy to California. I mean, I like the Lakers. I like the Warriors. I'm not like, you know what I mean. That's the closest thing. I'm out here. If I'm, California teams, I'm happy with. But yeah, I'm equal opportunity. I don't like rep hard. I don't pretend to. I appreciate, because the era was done for me and that was it. And I feel like when he retired, I kind of started.
Yeah.
But the Spurs, good for them. Again, Shea had a great week the other day.
Yeah, we all had a great week here in South Texas, man.
Definitely. Now, the reason why I asked you that was because one of the projects that I got to work on was I helped get Tim Duncan on the cover of the Marvel comic for the Punisher. So I've been able to.
What? When you got him on the cover, what does that mean?
So when I worked at the comic book shop, we were doing an exclusive for that convention. So one of the ideas, so we were doing exclusive covers for the con. Like, if you come to the con, there's only going to be like 200 comics or whatever. So I've always thought outside the box, and it's like going up to a girl and asking her out for a date. Worst thing so I did a pitch. I ended up going to his he has a custom car shop here in San Antonio. So I walk in, ask to talk to the manager, and then basically just say, hey, I have an idea, I'm working with this person, blah blah blah. And then 2 days later, get a message back saying he's interested.
So Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Wow. So you hit on him. And he said yes.
Yeah, you can put it that way.
He did.
But yeah, so like I said, man, you actually, for taking the time to respond to my text, you know what I mean, and take the time to come on our show, I really appreciate it. Primo, like I said, that's what really got me, because we don't see very many Latin shows on TV that are kind of based on us, and I relate to that show in so many ways, because I'm the older brother. Right. So I kind of relate to Jay, But and it's kind of funny because we have that bickering between me and my younger brother, kind of like you and Jay do, where y'all
Mhm.
constantly going back and forth between, he's like, oh, I have a degree and I've been doing this, and
Yeah. And he's a younger brother. I'm also the youngest. I have two older sisters that are 10 years apart. Years apart. So like I am not I mean, it's like it's completely I'm not faking it. I know what it is to be the younger brother.
and so that character, where'd you get the
Right.
inspiration for Ryan to, the way you portray him and his BMW?
The Gorney Beamer. I understood the character. I mean, and it's obviously it starts with the page. It starts with the way that it's written, and shout out to the writers, because it was a very specific. Like I didn't have to like go too far. It was already there in front of me, and then I just put I said I know I have a take, and it was very clear from early on. So yeah, I feel like I know that guy. I know the guy that just wants to desperately want to be in charge or want to be heard or validated. He's the youngest. It's like that mascot mentality where everybody like looks down on you, or you always grow up under the shadow of your family or your siblings or whatever.
Yeah.
So I know what that is, and it's that definitely can lend itself to a lot of funny situations. That insecurity, I think it's also funny masking insecurity with not arrogance. He's not arrogant, but with like so much confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Unearned confidence. Let's put it that way.
That is freaking awesome. So the working with such a great cast, I mean, y'all tend to gel so well going back and forth together.
Yeah, that was magical, dude. I had no part in it. We had no part in it. We didn't even do a chemistry. Usually when you audition for roles, you have you do chemistry tests before because they want to figure out what combination of actors work best together, especially if I would have thought because it's a family, you would want to put them together and see how they mix. And we just got cast separately, and we showed up the first day. I met for the first time in person, but we hit the ground. They knew what they were doing because it was like we hit the ground running, immediate chemistry. It was, which is it's not typical, especially in this industry. It's hard to find like a cast that can really just hit the ground running. We didn't really have to like do a lot of bonding stuff. Like it was pretty magical. And I've been. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches for me. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm jokingly saying that, but because Gentefied was such a special show for me too, and like the cast of Gentefied was everything. The creators of the show, the cast, it was such like a. I waited my whole life to get to that point, and when it did, it was such a great thing, because it could have been spoiled by negativity or by bad actor, by bad people. But it was such a dream to have that experience. And then to have it again with Primo is just wild. And the working with Mike Schur, like that, but I don't know what's happening anymore.
So I'm going to put this picture up. So have you had a chance to meet the actual guy you're portraying?
No. There it is. No, I think they didn't want us to like make it about, like a documentary. They wanted to kind of, because we asked about it, and that's fair because you want to like, it's loosely based. And in that case, you don't want to be encumbered by trying to portray somebody. Like you still want to be. My Uncle Ryan is based on the actual Uncle Ryan, but you know what it is when you're doing a biopic, when you're doing it's a different. You have to treat it differently, and I think they were very aware of that, so they didn't want us to. We didn't really like see what they looked like until later on in the production. Like I think it was done on purpose. And I think that's, especially you're doing a comedy. You want to have a take. You don't want to be like, what would Uncle Ryan do? Can I get him on the phone, please? Yeah.
Nice. So you got anything for him, Dave, that you want to ask about his, other geek stuff that he likes?
Yeah, I was wondering, other than like Star Wars and Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, what else are you? What other fandoms do you follow?
I think what more do you want me to do? I don't have time in this world to. Well, I have Pokemon. Just kidding. I don't know. That came after me. That came after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming back, man. It's coming back too.
Boat. Yeah, but it doesn't have like a quote like like we're the same age, so like it hit later. By the time it hit it, I don't know if you're a big Pokemon fan, but
no.
I feel like I don't hate it, but I also don't have like the fervor that a lot of people have.
Right.
I didn't have the trading cards. I didn't have like the thing, so naturally, organically, I wasn't. But
Yeah, everything that you've said in the podcast, it's very relatable to me.
Are we twins? What's happening?
I was about to say that too. Are we best
Are we
friends
the same
now?
person?
Yeah, I'm the South Texas version, but never acted or did stand up. But yeah, I mean, even with having 2 older siblings, I have 2 older brothers, so I was the baby of the family too, and yeah, we grew up in those formative years of Batman '89, Jurassic Park, Terminator, Terminator 2, and yeah, I mean, it had a very profound effect, I think, on our age group, and now a lot of us are kind of in this area, in this industry, talking about it, trying to act and stuff, and create projects, and yeah, you do. I think you do have that actor look. You do look like to me, because it feels like I've seen you before in other things, but I'm not sure if I have.
Right. But I also, can I just say before you continue, I do have a thing. I have a mutant-like ability. I do have a mutant power, which is I look like people. So even before I was like recognizable because of projects, people have always my whole life come up to me and be like, "Hey, did you go to school in Alabama? Hey, are you?" Literally. And
You got
so
that
now
face.
it's compounded where I don't know if people are like coming up to me. I don't know if they're gonna come up to me because they recognize me from a show or something, or because I remind them of someone, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because if I remind them of somebody they like, it's immediately like it's like a positive. But boy, I've met people that I immediately are like, there's probably somebody out there looking like me that like wronged them. So that is the drawback. But if I mean, I call it, I'm a franchise human. After the show came out, so many dudes like it was like, oh my god, or so many people was like, this is my brother, like pictures of. So hashtag franchise human for sure. A lot of people have like posted, and it's true. I'm like, oh my god, I am basic. I'm stock.
Oh man,
That's cool. But yeah, we wanted to ask you a really important question here.
Oh boy, here we go.
So we're gonna get serious here for a second. So, Whataburger or In-N-Out?
Ooh, hot takes. Hot takes. Well, listen, I didn't grow up with Whataburger. I like In-N-Out, but I will say that I did have it recently. You know, we shot the show in Albuquerque,
Right.
and it's high desert. And so when I had, but let me go back. We went to, I was like, let's give it a good old try. Let's give it what it deserves. So I got it, and it messed me up. And I thought it was Whataburger. But listen, I thought it was Whataburger. I was like, this is weird. This is not normal. I didn't do well. And I was Whataburger, you got me. But then
What did you order? What did you have?
Man, I had what is the Texas toast burger and the
Okay.
I don't remember. It was I was getting like a little bit of, because the menu's pretty expensive. But then that is to say that then I had McDonald's, and it also kind of messed me up. And I was like, wait a minute, McDonald's? And I realized that and when you're in a high altitude, alcohol and fast food, like greasy foods, affect you differently. Or because I still hadn't gotten used to being at a high desert, so I was like, it has nothing to do with the food and everything to do with the altitude. Did you know that you can get drunk so much quicker? And
I knew about that part, but I didn't know about the greasy food.
yeah,
though. That's
the
interesting.
only thing, because I had to I started looking at stuff like I certain foods just don't like. I don't know. Maybe, well, at least for my stomach, it wasn't. And I just have to order it and then just drive down to a good height, to a good altitude, so I can enjoy it. I have to drive down.
San Antonio,
man.
With us,
Yeah. But I like it. I like I dig it. I just think it's two different things. I think In-N-Out, I don't know, to me personally, In-N-Out and Whataburger are two different entities. One has like a bunch of great, for fast food, it has like a really great selection of things, especially like at night when you just like you don't know what to get. But In-N-Out is just such a simple like meat and potatoes. That's a weird thing to say about a burger place. But it's just a burger of whatever. They keep it very simple. So I feel like I don't think they should compete. I understand why people want to like fight about it.
Yeah.
But as with anything,
Yeah.
people just want to like have, no, it's my identity. No. You
I
guys,
think my answer is actually both. I like both of them. They have In-N-Outs now in Texas, and
you do? Nice.
I'll go there once in a while and do the animal style fries and get a double, and it's fine. I mean, I have no quarrel with it. It's like saying I'm a Star Wars fan and a Star Trek fan. I mean,
Right.
what are you gonna do, man?
What are all these quarrels? What are all these? Have we learned nothing from Tupac and Biggie?
Oh,
Yeah,
hilarious.
and also, but I do feel like In-N-Out is pretty consistent in like, I mean, the fries are the one thing that I think people are hung up on. You either like them or you don't. But the burger itself is always very consistent. The thing about certain fast food places is that depending on the location, they might not be great. Like just like any other, you can talk about Jack in the Box, Carl's
True.
Jr., McDonald's. Depending on where you're at and depending on what time you get it, they might not be great. They might not be prepared the way it's supposed to be. So that's the one thing. Consistency with In-N-Out. But I will need to test my. I need more research. I need more Whataburger research. Hopefully at a lower altitude, so I can.
Come to a Spurs game. There's a Whataburger inside the arena. You can try it out there. Check out the Spurs. But I got one more serious question for you. So you listed
hard-hitting questions.
We talked about Star Wars. We talked about Ninja Turtles. We talked about Ghostbusters, and of course, you have the Back to the Future back there, the sacred trilogy of Back to the Future that probably should never be remade. So I'll leave them out of it. So if you had to pick one project to work on between Star Wars, Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, you had to pick one. Which one would you pick to work on to act in?
Yeah, this is a tough question, right? Because if we talk about Ninja Turtles, we're talking about potentially. I think if we're doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think I've aged out of that.
Well, I mean, they have a new movie coming up.
We're in a world where I haven't. I would obviously love to play Michelangelo, or I could do an animation project. We don't know.
Right, the animated movie's about to come out. Seth Rogen.
That's true. August 2nd. I moved up down and the trailer's coming out.
Nice, you know the date. Are you gonna ask for red carpet tickets?
No, but I'm gonna see if I can. If I feel like I need to pull my. Maybe you can. You're the man for that. You're the man that.
Hey, if I was in Hollywood, I think I'd be pulling off a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I had access in Hollywood.
This guy's a hustler.
And I do want to say, going back to what Ray said about working with Tim Duncan, you can actually go to YouTube and YouTube Tim Duncan at San Antonio Comic-Con, and you will see Ray standing next to Tim Duncan, controlling traffic, telling people to move, get out of the way, because Tim Duncan's about to walk through with his daughter.
Wow.
And it's pretty cool.
I mean, you can't see him if you're looking at Tim Duncan.
Well, the guy that was recording was our height. I don't know what your height is, but like 6 foot. He was so he was eye level with Ray, and then you see Tim Duncan standing there, and Ray's just telling everyone, "Move! Everyone needs to move."
Yes, all the authority. The authority vested in me. Get out. That's great. No, I think I said it earlier, and this is something that obviously, I'm hoping that we with every job that I do, I get to a position where I can effectively create more opportunities for me in this pop culture universe. But honestly, if I had to make a choice, I would love to be Eduardo Rivera. That would be such a because that also kind of hit. I was technically the age of I was like 15 or 16 when Extreme. Not the same amount of love, but I still watched it, and it's still like the fact that there was a guy. So that'd be cool if in this new universe of Ghostbusters movies, there's a place for Eduardo Rivera to come in.
That would be cool.
That would be a dream come true, dude. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I could pay homage to the actual cartoon version and stuff like that. I can see that. I can see it.
Yeah. He's a fun character because it's like a mix of basically Bill Murray, I'm blanking out, but you get it. Peter Venkman.
So one of the questions I had for you was, so transitioning from doing comedy and stand-up comedy and then the comedic shows, there was one movie that came out this past January. How was it from transitioning to There's Something Wrong with the Children? Going from that to horror, how was that? The transition to that?
That was great. That was such a cool experience. And I had been kind of manifesting that I wanted to do something in that space. I had done a movie called Ghost Team 1. It was a horror comedy. It was back in 2012. It came out in 2013. That's the closest thing I'd ever done to like a horror type situation. But this time I was really cool because, it was, first of all, it was Blumhouse. So I wanted to be involved with Blumhouse. And now I can say that as when I was like, that's really what I was manifesting. Like if I was going to do something horror, it would be cool to work with Blumhouse for obvious reasons. But just the whole experience was really cool. It was very like, it was a very centric move. Like it wasn't a crazy movie to get my feet wet, like in terms of like character and like what was happening. And I had at least one day of like crazy makeup and blood, and I was just loving it. It's funny because everybody else was like, "Oh, I got all this blood," and I was like, "More, more." Cold. It's cold. I don't care. But I'm really happy. I'm really happy I did. I hope that it leads to more like. I really just want to be able to explore as many genres as I'm allowed to in this industry. You know how it is. Obviously, comedy is my number one. It's my north, but hopefully that'll open the doors for me to be allowed to be seen in other lights. And it was actually the first character in a movie that I got to play Puerto Rican, and I asked because it wasn't specific. I was Latino, but they asked me to. But I was talking to the children in Spanish, so I asked if I could just do it in Puerto Rican, so they let me. So that was pretty cool. It was a really great experience working with everybody at the project.
Nice.
And Roxanne Benjamin, she's a superstar. She directed the film. She's got that street cred, which is also cool. She knows what she's doing.
Nice.
So that was dope.
That's pretty cool, man. That's it's one thing's leading to another, and I like the way you think. That's how I see it. It's like you do one project, hoping that's going to lead you to the next project, and always have that goal that you don't want to stop right there. You want to keep on going.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Not to settle. You know what I mean.
Yeah. That's what I'm also excited about. I'm excited about for Primo because from the get go, I knew it was such a great. The writing is so good. It was always good from the get go. Like that's one of the things that impressed me. So to be a part of that was really great. But also like even on the feature, to be able to be on TV and then have a movie that's going to come out in the fall, and be able to play in those leagues. That's also really cool for me for Vacation Friends, the sequel that's coming out. So yeah, I just feel like that's. It's taken a long time, but it's I'm glad. I've said this before. It's like we all have to pay our dues at some point. Some people get like action right away, and then in the middle nothing happening, and then they pick it up again. Sometimes people get it in the middle, or sometimes I'm happy that it's happening now because I could really, really, really appreciate what's happening. And I have just better perspective. And because of time, I'm a better actor. I'm a better comedian. I'm a better improviser than I was 5, 10, 15 years ago. So I'm really happy. It's exciting. It's exciting times.
Nice. And also too, you can get more, you can buy a lot more of the stuff that you.
And yes, I can low-key continue to support my
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that habit, man.
hobby.
I'm in the same boat with your hobby. Yeah, there's no problem with that, man. That's what. Take a look at Dave's background. That's all his Star Wars up there.
It's very small, so it just looks like you're in your garage, and those are. I can barely make out a mask in there. No, I can see it.
Nice, but yeah, man. Like I said, I do appreciate the time, and forward to Vacation too. I want to see that and see more of you, especially working with Buscemi. That's going to be awesome. I love Buscemi. He's an awesome actor. My favorite's Armageddon. You know how he played the crazy guy. That was freaking hilarious.
Dude. A legend. You start thinking about all the movies he's done. It's hard to be like, ugh. And now we're crossing paths.
The Sopranos. I mean, incredible.
Adam Sandler movies. Come on.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Airheads.
You're reading my mind here.
Yeah.
So did you get a selfie with him?
Yeah, I think we definitely took a picture. And I we've texted, so it's like amazing. Like if you're ever in New York, I'm like, okay, man, cool.
That is freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, and I made him. In the best thing, like I remember making him like crack on something. I was like, that's it. I made him break. I'm good for the day. Let's call it. It's not gonna get any better than this.
Yeah,
But
man,
like I said,
that's always awesome when you meet your heroes and they're like really cool. Yeah.
like I said, man, appreciate the time. We know you got stuff you got to do, and you got some shows that you're going to be doing as well.
Yeah.
We got this that y'all going to be doing the cast. They're going to be at the Paramount.
Yes. This Friday at the Paramount in Boyle Heights, we have our show SAP Spanish Aqui Presents. It's also a group that I perform. I do improv, and we host a variety show every other month. And then this we got Synergy. So now we got the cast of Primo coming over. We're gonna have a lot of fun on Friday.
Well, cool, guys. If you're guys in Los Angeles and you want to go and have some fun, stop by, watch an awesome show. Like I said, thanks again.
And where can they find you on social media?
You can find me at, of course, it's Carlos on Instagram, and that's about it. I think that's the main one. I'm also on Twitter. It's Carlos Santos because, of course, it's Carlos. It's too long. I'm making it so much more confusing than it needs to be. Of course, it's Carlos. Just of course, it's Carlos. You'll find me.
Nice.
And I think we lost Ray. He went.
I think we lost Ray. Yeah. So for Ray,
he's talking to Tim Duncan right now. So
hey, you never know. I mean, that's a possibility. So yeah, for Ray, my name's David. Thank you so much for Carlos Santos for joining us, and that is the show.
There he is. Look at us.
There he goes.
He bailed before we left. There he is. He's back.
Right.
And that's when I told Ray, oh, you're back. Sorry.
It locked up on me, man. I was like, oh no.
The worst nightmare.
Yeah. Like I said, thanks again.
So now I went up in hierarchy now. So
nice. I'm on the bottom now.
Yeah.
I got kicked out.
Sorry for that.
Like I said, thanks again for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Look forward to you. Hopefully you come to San Antonio, do some stand-up in San Antonio. That'd be awesome.
I would love to. Yeah, I'm going to, I think in September, I have some dates in Houston. So maybe I can add some, maybe I can try to figure something out. Because I already have a couple gigs lined up. So maybe, hopefully, be down.
Sweet,
I'll be
man.
down.
Well, I have a bucket list I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to get you. So I got to meet Michelangelo, the voice of Mikey from the movie as well.
That's dope.
Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can work some magic and try to get you an autograph of that too.
No pressure, Ray. No pressure.
But like I said, man, I love working with people like you who can relate with like me and David. We're geeks. Slowly, we're taking over the world.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we just have to be careful with the overbearingness of some of the geeks that are around.
That's true too. Yeah.
Harder for people to appreciate. Yes. Yeah. We got to be more like David, more neutral and loving.
Well, appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.